Not a lot to talk about today that you haven't heard before, except one thing. Today, for some reason or other, Kay walked it very slowly, so slow I couldn't believe it. She also seemed to be, her ability to understand seemed to be somewhat diminished. But other than that, it was a pretty normal visit. Church was there, but it was too late for us to go to because I have to leave so shortly after others would get her there. So we just stayed and watched TV. She just likes being with me, I guess. So that's about the report for today at this moment. I may add something before I finalize this thing. Kay was quite adventurous. For her size, she was willing to go at the drop of a hat. Didn't mean no ham. She'd throw stuff together. Remember out at Lake Forest Park? No, not Lake Forest Park, but Wallingford. We had a Jeep trailer and some car. I don't know, can't remember what car it was. But maybe 8 or 9, 10 o'clock at night, we thought we'd want to go somewhere. I had a Jeep trailer that I'd put a bed in, and in the back we'd put Diana in and we'd take off. She was willing to go. At that time, Charlie Brown, her uncle, was in the wholesale fireworks business. So I'd scheduled my vacation to come along at July 4th. Back up at the Kane County, Snohomish County line. She couldn't sell fireworks in King County, so they rented a space there at the county line on Highway 99, and they had a quite a big stand. And one year, I just, at the last moment, I saw a place up at Montlake Terrace where Ballinger Way goes into 205th. And I talked to the guy who was building Montlake Terrace, which is hundreds of, maybe 1,000 homes, I don't know, these block houses. And I asked him if I could rent a space there at the top, right there, inside that area. It wasn't no Montlake Terrace at that time. I asked him how much you'd rent it for. He said, just take it. So I built a stand there, and we sold firecrackers. The previous year, we had gone over to, let's see, Walla Walla, and set up a fireworks stand just across the line. So we camp out. And so she was willing to do anything. We went to Alaska on my brother's maiden voyage on his fishing boat. She came along as cook, and so she was willing to go. If I'd go out on the news later when I worked for Channel 11 News, if I'd go out on a news story where I could take her, she'd go with me. She'd love to go. I saved her once from a very serious burn. We were in this dinky little house in Wallingford, and I was in bed, and she was just next to me getting ready for bed, and she was in a filmy nightgown, and this was the heat in this house was supplemented by a space heater in our bedroom. Well, her gown brushed up against the space heater and instantly began to burn. Well, the only thing that made it not a chimney itself was the fact that she had, of course, a belt around her waist. But it's still being filmy. In 2 or 3 seconds, it would have been totally on fire. So I reached down and I grabbed the bottom of the nightgown and I rolled it up and put the fire out. But if I hadn't been right there, she would have been disfigured to this day or even burnt to death, because it was just a big chimney, what it amounted to. And to this day, I almost shudder when I think about how close she came to having a horrible burns. So she's a wonderful person, and I'm lucky to get her. She wasn't necessarily lucky to get me, but I was lucky to get her. The kids were lucky to have a mother as good as she was too. Didn't drink, didn't smoke. Always thought of them. Remember Robin, when she used to take you and your drums up to your drumming lessons? Fortunately, we had a piano teacher next door, so the one that took piano lessons, they could walk. But we gave all the kids music lessons of some sort. So I want to give some of that back to her now. I think she deserves it. Kay was not in a good mood this morning. I don't know what it was. She has a pretty strong grip, and I have arthritis in my hands. And she can grab my hand and squeeze it, and it doesn't feel good. And today, it took her a while. She was extra violent in that regard. So took her a while, then she finally came around, I guess. I'm just wondering if she's forgetting who I am. Of course, that's one of the stages that they go through. I was just appalled at the smell in her room today. I talked to in the hall and told her I'd like to get her checked out, and nothing happened for a while. So finally I just pulled the string and turned on the emergency light, and Hannah came another one came and took care of it. But the room still smelled badly because her bed clothes were smelly. I had to go down later and ask them to change her bedclothes. They didn't come. Well, they said they would do it. However, the housekeeper or whoever does it, I guess, would be doing it. Well, I hope to do it because I won't be there to see if it happens, but they're entitled to have a clean place. But you find them today, there were two of them sitting down the end. There was a place was crawling with these trainees, and more trainees than residents. And when it came time for me to go, I called the elevator. You have to have a lock. It's locked. There's a lock box next to the elevator, and you lift the lid and push the button. So I did that, and when the elevator came, there were 3 of the trainees on it, and one very active young gal, well maybe 20ish. And they've been told not to let anyone out. Well, getting out of that room doesn't mean you're going out of the building, out of the yard. So anyway, she wouldn't. I told her I was just a visitor here, and she stood in the door, and there were a couple others standing around, and she kept the door open. And I told her, look, I pulled out my key and says, look, this is the key to the elevator. They don't let just anyone have a key. And I don't know, finally, she got out and let the door close. I happened to go up to the 4th floor, which is the lunchroom for employees and anyone else. And a couple of the trainees there saw me in the elevator. They wanted to come in and make sure that I didn't get out of the building. I somehow convinced the guy that I was a visitor. It was hard getting out there today. Getting off the floor is a long way from getting out of that place. Anyway, I got to figure out a way to have a little fun with these people. They see someone with you're old and you've got a walker. Well, you must be a resident here, after all, why would you be here? So we're going to come up with something. I got a new voice recorder. The other one had a a little button here, which is to turn it on, right there. Where is it? Right. Anyway, it turns it on. But I had a blind one day, and I thought that I was pulling the cover off of the USB port, but instead I pulled the switch out, so I didn't, unless I used a little knife to go down in there or small object, it would, I couldn't turn it on and off. But I haven't called or tried to get a button for it, but I had just Tom order another machine. So anyway, I got it. I thought it was defective because in the little window here, you know, there was numbers on it. And no matter what I did, I couldn't change them. And then I did remember, on when these things are new, they have some plastic thing over there that shows you what it looks like, display looks like. So finally I pulled that off and it worked all right. I was about ready to send it back. And that's how bad my eyes are.